All right, college esports action, more Overwatch coming your way. Howard Community College taking on the University of North Alabama. I'm Yelkreb. Co-casting with me is my good buddy Unicorn. Unicorn, how you doing today?
Yoke, I am doing amazing as always. Excited to be here for another NECC series. As you mentioned, Howard Community College, University of Northern Alabama, two fantastic teams in our emergence division. Any idea of how this is going to go down? I personally haven't seen a ton from either of these teams, but honestly, I'm excited to jump into it. I think it's going to be a close series. If it was anything like the one you and Neely just casted, it's going to be a barn burner.
It's got a chance to be really close. These are two teams very close in their own division. Howard Community College, some NECC veterans, University of North Alabama, though they're making a stay here. They're currently 1-1 on the season. Howard, unfortunately, 0-2. One team looking to get into the 500 mark, one team looking to break past it. I think both of these teams favor the brawl, and both of them are pretty much pulled through by their DPS. It seems like North Alabama has a very good tank player as well, but I know Howard relies very heavily on Nile and Cozy to just pop off. We casted them last
We
playoffs in the
have
fall. We know those guys can just mix it up on those damage heroes.
they can pop off, and it seems like they can transition that Doomfist from one to the other and absolutely kill it no matter who plays it. And speaking of killing it here at the NECC, this broadcast is sponsored by MetaPro Gaming. MetaPro Gaming is a full service esport management, developmental, and consulting company. Meta provides esports coaching, college esports management, arena design, and equipment. We're thankful for them and visit them at metaprogaming.gg to learn more. Yelk, you ready to jump into this?
I am, man. First map we got up today is Lijiang Tower for control. Best of three series today, as always, with the regular season of the NECC. Map two, we're going to be going over to Hollywood and closing it out on Rialto. And in these series, we always play three maps. Doesn't matter if a team goes up 2-0 in the first two. You can't speed run too quickly here. You always have to play that third map. But what are you looking to see on Lijiang Tower, Unicorn?
Li Jing, as you mentioned, with our emergence division, so many teams like to favor this brawl. I think night market, you commonly see that Ryan Zarya combo with a Symmetra TP. Maybe you get a little weird on Gardens, throw a Pharah, throw an Echo in there, but I think both of these teams are going to be comfortable with that brawl. We're going to see that emerging from both sides here. Pun intended. And as we jump into Control Center, maybe some Sombra as well. I love a Sombra in Control Center. Maybe we see it here from both sides. We've got Howard Community College on the blue side. You've got UNA, University of Northern Alabama, on the red. Yo, what about you? What are you looking for? I mean, in these brawl-centric comps, you can kind of get a little wild with the DPS as long as you're staying as that six-stack unit. Anything specific you're looking for there?
Well, Nile and Cozy to me are both known for their Doomfist. It seems like in the last few seasons of competitive, since we took our little break from the fall and moved on to the spring season, they've grown apart from the Doomfist, but I like him so much in these Zarya comps because it kind of gives you a spearhead to go around when you engage those fights. But it seems like Nile on the Reaper, Cozy on the Junkrat, just blow him up offense going up against the May Reaper. The hard brawl looking to split up the front line and find an easy pick that way. What do you think has the favorable outcome here, May or the Junkrat?
I mean, besides the May Junkrat, not only do you have a ton of damage for the side of Howard Community College, but you're down to Lucio. Paulito opts for the Brig, which I really love to help with that Reinhardt brawl, but Tiger on this Lucio, as you can see, immediately gets his team to White Room, and they're already playing defense on control here.
They've already got the position. They're posturing up, just looking to get this brawl comp in full swing here. Desired Sloth gets Maywalled off. The team of Howard kind of split from their main tank. The nade comes through from the Honor. From the Honor, he gets tons of healing, but they have to back off. Cozy does go down to Thimble, and just it seems like the damage presence not quite there in the opening for Cozy and Nile. They weren't quite able to close the distance on any vulnerable targets, and it seems like University of North Alabama comes away with the first fight win.
Well, it looks like Mr. Concrete here heard your cries of who's better, the May or the Junkrat, and demonstrates for you. It doesn't allow me to answer, but instead shows you with back-to-back May walls there, getting Desired Sloth, also catching Infradusk. She gets caught out on the Zarya there. Absolutely fantastic play by the May. They want to see it continue working here as they try and get the isolation as they move into choke. They do find that Zarya.
And they're going to have a grab coming up soon. It's already locking up Howard Community College. Bananarama finds a 2K on the back of that Graviton Surge from Squib. And that is some incredible off-tank alt charge. It is not easy to charge up a grab that quickly, and Squib just speed ran that alt.
And Squib plays it perfectly there. You throw the grab out early so the ult economy stays in your favor. Infradust gets 0% of a Graviton Surge here. Must have switched previously and then gone right back to the Zarya. But you'll see them move high ground and look at the ults in favor of the side of UNA here. They're going to want to brawl forward. They've got the speed. They've got the Coalescence. They're walking forward. NATO is a force to be reckoned with on this Reinhardt paired with this Coalescence. Nile is out of there without a Wraith form. Just going to head back to spawn. Hope for the best here and wait for his team because that fight was over as quickly as it started.
And this is why you love brawl comps with the Lucio in team settings off of the ranked ladder, because it seems like Reinhardt and Lucio just have so much untapped potential once you start playing them in stacks of 6. Riptire coming out now, trying to make things interesting. The beat drop to give their team some overshields and counter this Tire as it comes in and finds a double kill, just road tripping around, killing the time that beat drop was protecting North Alabama. Squib and Conrad both go down. Nile unfortunately loses the duel to Thimble. Rally gets popped by Paulito. And it looks like Howard finally making their way into this point, but it's still anyone's game here, Unicorn.
Definitely still is. I mean, look at the way Tiger's able to back his team out with that speed boost. They're only just now capping 95% for UNA. University of Northern Alabama has got to be happy with that. Just one hold there gets them 95%. They're coming in with the Shattered Death Blossoms right there in the oven. Nile has his, though, for the side of HCC. They're going to want to use it here as they push into these close quarters in White Room.
Howard down on the ult economy. It's not looking favorable. They've got to have a big playmaker coming up here. Can it be Nile? Finds two on his own. Cozy gets the concussion mine kill as well. Nile does go down to Conrad, but he more than did his job there, keeping the point for Howard.
Absolutely. Howard Community College holds it there. Nile gets a fat Death Blossom, and I believe Squib committed the grab there as well. Infradusk was previously backed out there for Howard Community College. Couldn't assist, but he gets the bubble onto Nile anyway. Nile absolutely pops off here. Speaking of bubbles, projected barrier down for Squib and NATO there. They're going to have to wait to push in briefly, and as you can see, they kind of want to get their bearings. I'd like to see them just speed into this and get a dry fight, then come back and take it, but here comes the brawl now.
Here comes that anti-nade landed on Conrad. Can't survive through the headshot from Nile. And that was a 4-man anti thrown out by Derpy, but still the front line of North Alabama not backing down. NATO looking to land a shatter. Thimble's up in the crow's nest, trying to drop on him with this Death Blossom. Starting the engage. Here it comes. No stun for him. The stun comes a little late. Tiger
finds three. What?
3 final blows with 1 shot. I've never seen a Lucio do that. Lucio, if you don't know, Lucio fires 4 shots. I don't know how you collect 4 final blows on 1 volley.
He shoots the trifecta of barrages there. I mean, think of the synergy. Thimble comes in with the Death Blossom. Tiger cleans it up with 1 shot, as you mentioned. That was absolutely nutty. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I think 2 of them were headshots. I mean, absolutely popping off there with the help of Thimble. And we just totally blew past the end of the point there. As you can see, University of Northern Alabama does take control center as we move into Gardens. Man, I still can't get over that. I mean, at this point, does Tiger ever get off of Lucio? I mean, now you're just running on this confidence hype train, right? Now you're just asserting your dominance throughout these variety of maps. You think they go with a Pharah here, maybe? They seem to be hovering it.
Both teams may be opting for a Pharah, but what we saw in the last game was a Symmetra strategy, getting them onto the point quickly and locking it down with those turrets. And that proved to be effective. Nile is going to be on the Symmetra here, at least to start things and get them to the point first. But Conrad on this Pharah and Thimble on the Sombra make things very interesting as North Alabama switches to a split comp. But Howard already looking like they're locking down this point. They've just got to play those off angles correctly.
Yeah, Ironcrad just getting those picks on that Pharah there respectively needs to help move into White Room and help his team as they try to push through these close quarters. What I want to see is them attempt to keep playing it slow, but instead they go for the brawl early.
They do. NATO can't quite hang on to his HP right there. Unfortunately, goes down to the battering hammer swings of Desired Sloth. Derpy is the one who actually cleans up that kill, but as we all know, Desired Sloth was just laying the hammer into him for about 15 seconds to start this round.
I think the way I want to see the side of University of Northern Alabama play this is as they push in, I want to see them play a little bit slow, let their Pharah from Ironcrad get a lot of chip damage in, then as they find maybe a couple direct hits onto squishies, just immediately speed in, but instead, here comes Squib's minefield.
That beat drop is going to keep the damage at bay, at least for now, but Concrad's got this barrage lined up, looking to drop in through this window, maybe As the slam comes through, he's gonna land the rockets, the barrage, the pain down. NATO finds 2 with a fire strike. Concrete unfortunately goes down to a headshot from Cozy Derpy. Finding a pair of kills on his own, Squib slams down Desired Sloth. Point still upticking though for Howard as Squib is on the spin to win strategy on this Wrecking Ball. The Coalescence gets popped to try and clean up these squishies, but I'm not quite sure it's going to be enough. It really seems like the Zarya is able to lock this down with Cozy's help on the Soldier.
It definitely seems like it. Squib just trying to stall desperately here, is forcing ultimates out of the side of HCC, but they've still got the point here. I don't know what they're upset about at this point. 60% Ironcrad on the McCree now, finds a pick onto Nile. The beat drop comes in. NATO's going to want to brawl forward with it. He does end up finding Desired Sloth. He's got the speed boost. He's walking forward, and it looks like UNA is able to take the point there as the last bit staggers come through, trying to stall, but 75-0 here. UNA is going to take it, and they've got a lot to ask here for a side of the defense.
One of the tougher control points to get back once you give it up. 74% is a lot better than getting into final fight territory, but
absolutely,
it's definitely tough for Howard to get back to this point. They did get the beat drop out from Tiger when Cozy committed that visor, what seemed like a little bit late, but since that beat drop was committed, they've got a wide open window for Infradust to just lay in a Graviton Surge and get the point back for her team.
Yeah, she definitely wants to early here, using her personal barrier. It looks like Nile is going to switch off of the Symmetra there onto McCree. He's really far back from his team here. I'd like to see him move bridge at this point and just hope for a flank. The rest of his team's on point, and he doesn't have any value right now as the projected barrier all starts.
Coming in for the EMP, comboed with the Wrecking Ball mines. Derpy trying to drop the beat, but he only drops into that mine from Squib. And Concrete finds a pair with a high noon. The cleanup from there is easy pickings. 50% claim so far. Coalescence getting popped out to find the most value I've ever seen an ultimate get ever, Unicorn.
I mean, this is huge. How is he doing this right now? Everyone is sustained. I can't believe it. The shadow comes out. This is crazy.
Massive plays on the side of North Alabama. They're feeling confident. They're feeling hype, and so am I.
I mean, they're throwing it down. I've got to respect it. The Troll, maybe their best friends out of game, and they're just trying to help HCC out as they move on to point. They've got ults in their favor now. No one can deny that.
Kept still in this Graviton Surge. Cozy comes through with a steamrolling shotgun, and it seems like he's able to find 3 quick kills. Point flip, but not quite final fight for North Alabama. They will get back into touch.
Cozy able to clean up there for HCC, and now I'm not an expert on analysis, Yelkreb, but walk me through this. And this is hypothetically speaking, would a coalescence and Shatter have helped in that previous fight?
Some might say yes.
Okay, all right, fair. Well, walk me through this one. Tell me about this one then.
I think they're feeling like they got another cycle of ultimates coming up, but right now with 2 picks down, it's going to be very tricky for them to flip this point back. Death Blossom comes out from Cozy to take down Tiger, and that should be it. I don't see Squib spinning to win for too long on this point. Cozy's able to shotgun down another 2 more kills, and it's just a 6 versus 2 right now on the point. They've just got to focus down Squib, and they've locked up a round, tied this one up, and I think you're right, Unicorn. I think those 2 ultimates being a little bit wasted had a lot to do with this round going the way of Howard.
Once again, all hypothetical. We can't speculate here. We're not professionals like the rest of these players. All we can do is talk about it. Speaking of professional, Tiger unable to get the beat drop there as they try and get these last second touches. Thimble unable to make it as well. And we are all tied up here, I think almost purposely for entertainment reasons. 1-1 on Lijiang as we move into Night Market, courtesy of University of Northern Alabama for those previous ultimates.
That was a very pleasant way of putting it. Courtesy of North Alabama. Yeah, that coalescence.
I'm sure HCC is appreciative.
I was telling you, I hope Bananarama makes a massive play just so I can scream that wonderful name they've got going, but that wasn't the one I was
don't even think you took advantage of it. I think that might have been your moment. That could have been the moment you screamed Bananarama. And I mean, that was the pop-off play for that Moira player with that Coalescence combined with obviously that huge Shatter. As we move into Night Market, I think Yelkreb experiencing a little bit of lag here. You good now?
There's wind outside. Yeah, I'm here.
Gotcha. That crazy wind, man. Coming up the mountain.
Coming up the mountain, hitting the old farm hard. Just like these Reinhardts are hitting each other hard on this choke opening. Cozy able to shotgun down Thimble with a headshot. That's going to open things up here for Howard Community College as they push through the courtyard, trying to get in onto the point. Now brawling with the speed boost help from Derpy, but he goes down to a hammer swing from NATO, who's already got the slam, but he goes down. as he's laying it down. Niall getting that kill onto him. Now there's no front line left for North Alabama, but it doesn't seem to make a difference here. Squib and Concrag coming through with 3 kills and locking up the first take for North Alabama.
I thought surely it was looking good when Niall had the Splinter Cell TP into the back line, finds his way into the back like an assassin, starts beaming down the Reinhardt. But as you mentioned, that shatter came out so quickly from NATO that they are able to turn the fight there. Man, Bananarama's got to pull something off with this next Coalescence. I need to hear you scream that name.
I'd love to see him make an aggressive play with it. It seems like now's the time as Howard is stuck in this very tight chokehold. The beat drop comes through. There's really not much to bail them out now if the Coalescence damage starts to come through, but it seems like they'll just retreat, make Howard take all the space that they'll need to get to the point. Teleporter comes through up into the top window. Dropping down from the Crow's Nest is the Symmetra. Niall using that Symmetra wall to keep him at bay, deny some damage, and it seems like trades being thrown left and right. Cozy letting loose with the shotguns in on the back line, in on Bananarama, taking them down. That's the 3K in the feed, and it should be the flip.
I'm telling you, we haven't discussed, at least you and I, live in depth about these recent buffs and nerfs. Cozy is straight sniping people right now on this Reaper. He is, he's actually just a Widowmaker in disguise. He's taken out Thimble from across the map, I think, twice now. Cozy absolutely annihilating on this Reaper as he does have a Death Blossom coming into this next fight.
Yeah, the new range on the Reaper shotguns is insane. High Noon gets popped, but the front line has a beat drop, and they are not afraid of what time McCree says it is. Thimble goes down and a flash to Infradust, and the point's still held here for Howard. They're looking like a different team on this point in particular. I really do like Cozy on this Reaper pick.
I do as well. The time of McCree irrelevant, but victory guaranteed here for the side of HCC as far as they're concerned. You see UNA wanting to push through main once again. Not much in the way here. They've got to just commit with Bananarama's Coalescence here. Maybe even commit a beat drop if Cozy's ultimate comes out. But speaking of ultimates coming out, there's the beat drop. There's the Graviton Surge from Infradust. She finds 4 in it, but ults out as well. Thimble's able to find Cozy before that Death Blossom goes out, and UNA absolutely cleans that up. Pins a couple into the minefield there, just granting Squib some kills there for free.
Like you said, that grab had Howard members in it, but it didn't seem like it was in a spot where they could aggressively step up. Or I'm sorry, it had Northern Alabama members in it, but it didn't seem like Cozy was able to step up and do the damage on Reaper to finish off those kills in the grab. Squib, unfortunately, dies to Isaac Newton's third law of gravity, and Bob will be thrown to the point as well as a teleporter, and it seems like Howard is just already mixing it up in the back line. The Blossom comes through and takes down Bananarama as they try to get this flip at 76%, trying to claim it before it ends up being final fight territory. Desired Sloth steps forward unafraid, but now he's in 2 DPS, and he's going to be very afraid of that damage.
Poor Desired Sloth wanted to keep rolling forward and brawling. The rest of Howard Community College decided that it was time to cap, didn't let him know. Didn't get the memo, Desired Sloth, I guess. Unfortunately, the beat drop does come out now from Derpy. He's able to counter the shatter with it. The minefield comes out from Squib too. That's going to negate the back left corner of the HCC, absolutely cleaning up. The 3K Desired Sloth comes back, hits 2 with the fire strike, and says, forget you ever killed me in the first place. I'm here to take revenge, and absolutely annihilates everyone on the point. Squib finds his way off of the map again, this time with the help of Derpy.
That was a massive play from Desired Sloth out of spawn. Nobody knew he was there. No one knew he was that close to shatter either. Found 2 with a fire strike before laying it down. Now it's just an all-out alt fight. Bananarama falls first to Niall. Desired Sloth wins the main tank duel in the choke. And now Howard Community College, they're up 2 picks in this fight before Paulito gets booped off the map by Squib. The beat drop coming through, keeping North Alabama sustained here, at least for a little longer. Thimble does go down to Cozy. Bob still on the point, not missing any shots. Beat drop now for Howard Community College. Should lock this one up. It should be checkmate here on Li Jiang, as the last few members of North Alabama are battered down by Desired Sloth and shotgun back to spawn by Cozy.
Bananarama does get the last second fade, trying to keep her teammates up there. Unfortunately, the minefield comes out from Squib. This might be their last ditch effort to contest. He's got to stay touching. It's just him. No teammates in sight. Thimble fragged out by the Symmetra turrets, unable to walk in. Howard Community College take Li Jiang after a dominating control center, a confusing gardens, and an all-out brawl on Night Market there.
Confusing gardens, to say the least. That second point did not look like a fresh game of Overwatch to me. I mean, that seemed like some playground offense going on the side of North Alabama. They paid. They paid. I mean, those two ultimates they threw away. That could have been what won them that round and turned the map, but instead they end up dropping two straight rounds and Li Jiang to Howard. And we've got a 1-0 game here, and not the way I expected it to be with how the first round went.
Not the way I expected it to be either. And I'm almost rooting for University of Northern Alabama now just so that we can get the interviews at the end to ask about that Gardens play. Is it
Yeah.
weird to want a team to win just to question their own potential stupidity? Most likely a joke, though. Most likely a joke. I mean, who could have been there? Their own Sombra player? I mean, at this point, who knows? However, Howard Community College takes Lijiang, and we move on to Hollywood. Yeah,
You right. You right, man.
Hollywood, he said with confidence.
He said last wordsingly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I really did like what I saw from UNA, and I gotta say that I am rooting for them too right now. I love Howard. I actually got a chance to coach this team a little bit in the
o
fall. They got a great
okay,
group of players,
okay.
but UNA, I don't see a lot of teams commit to memeing when something funny happens or presents itself in a league match. And I like what I saw from NATO. I mean, laying down the shatter, just kind of erasing Bananarama's coalescence because I'm sure Bananarama had their head in their hands after that and felt bad. And I think NATO was just trying to make it so they didn't tilt. Do something
True.
silly, get them
Maybe it's
back in
the
the game.
Yeah, maybe it's the ultimate teammate move, right? Like, maybe that is the pinnacle of moral support when it comes to this Overwatch team. Maybe they decide together if this coalescence comes out on accident. All right, well, if you have an ultimate, press Q. Just to make the player feel better. Now it looks like it was on purpose. Now the chat's not laughing, the casters aren't laughing. I mean, you heard us. We'll hype you up, UNA. You do that all the time. We'll
I
scream about it.
wouldn't
We'll
I
make it a
wouldn't
huge
keep
play.
doing it. It's not the advised strategy to do well in the conference, especially in a game that is clearly going to be close these next couple of maps, if that first was any indicator.
I couldn't agree more. And as we jump onto Hollywood here, I want to go back to something that you and Neely actually mentioned in the previous series. Hollywood not favorable for a brawl style composition. And I'm not sure if both of these teams will run into oppositions like that. But if they can get a hit scan, maybe get a diva to live with that hit scan on the high ground, I think whatever team chooses to brawl on attack first, if whether it be Howard Community College or University of Northern Alabama, whoever finds themselves on defense and can utilize that high ground, I think the opposing team's going to have a problem.
I think there are two. What we saw work to take the first point last time around was a wrecking ball getting in the mix instead of a Winston, instead of a Reinhardt, just to boot members of the defense off of that high ground, create some space, get the attacking team in, and set up a more favorable engagement. And we've seen Squib, he's got the wrecking ball icon too on. I don't think Chat can see that, but Squib seems to be the ball player in this lobby. And I think that's a very strong pick if they opt for that this map.
I think it definitely is. I think Ball has some problems first point, whether it's attack or defense. I think in that first hybrid portion that's too CP oriented, I don't think it favors a wrecking ball that much. However, as soon as you move into streets, it's just a wrecking ball playground, as we all know and love to see him absolutely destroy our team's backlines in multiple comp games. However, with him on this wrecking ball, does HCC try and match the Sombra that Thimble came out with, or was it Tiger? Which one of them played the Sombra? Was it Tiger? No, Tiger's the support. It was
Tigers.
Thimble. It was Thimble. Don't question me, Okra. What I'm trying to say, right, is if they come out with the Sombra, is that an answer to the Wrecking Ball? Is Squib formidable enough on the hero to where he can either get someone to dive with them and communicate well enough, or just take down that somber player single handedly? I think it can be a counter as we move into Streets phase. We just got to see what they decide.
Sombra would make it very tough. I also think that if Cozy sticks on this Reaper and knows what to focus, he could just demolish our Wrecking Ball too. It really does change how strong Brawl is as a whole when Reaper can just march through any team with his shotguns, getting self-healing and new insane range that he doesn't have to close the distance as much as he did before. He can really just burst down squishies even and not have to worry about missing pellets and being on the end of his range.
And I think that's an important thing to mention with that range, especially in conjunction with going against a wrecking ball. Wrecking ball so adamant on getting in, getting some quick disruption, getting some quick damage, and then getting out. When you buff a Reaper to increase his range, that's just all the more value he's getting in those quick interactions with that wrecking ball. So Death Blossom is building up so much faster potentially against a wrecking ball that's getting out. So at that point, you got to question, am I just feeding this DPS's ultimate consistently?
And it seems like the defense opting for Nile on Torb, Cozy on Echo. I have not seen Cozy play Echo. It seems like he loves those high mobility heroes. Reaper just seems to be his staple when they're just running Brawl on a Brawl map. But Echo, we saw in the last game, worked incredibly well with a double bubble comp being super aggressive. And we could see a very similar thing here. But on the other side, North Alabama, they've got 2 hit scans to counter, and I think it's the right move.
I think it is as well, especially if they can position them to take advantage of their respective off angles. I want to see Ironcrad basically right there top mid because he has more mobility in the way of getting out. Thimble holding that left side if you're looking from the defense's perspective over there in the cafe, and see how they can position as they move into attack here. However, they're going to have to find a way to get to Cozy on this Echo as he has the positional advantage on defense.
Paulito already threw out that immortality field that was taken down by Conrad. That's a very long cooldown to not have for the remainder of this fight. Desired Sloth does eventually go down, whittled away by Squib at high charge, who's rolling in with a head full of steam, able to pick up 2 more kills on the Cozy and Derpy. And this attacking North Alabama team, they've got no fear right now, Unicorn. This first point is theirs.
They definitely don't. Paulito just trying to throw the immortality and stall as long as he can. However, when I mentioned about Echo having the positional advantage, Cozy took that away from himself, flew up into the air, and got absolutely destroyed by both of those hit scans. And at that point, as you mentioned, Squib was absolutely huge, already 90% to this grab, Yelk Reb. He's gonna be looking to use this early and absolutely pop off again. Try and make Streets Phase a snowball for him.
And Squib did that on Control Center on Li Jiang as well. Just grab, had it ready before they even knew what hit him. And I think it's going to happen again here and lock up an easy first fight. Going into Street Phase.
You gotta assume they're ult tracking, but can you ult track well enough to already assume that Squib has this grab? I think it needs to come out early. That's a huge one already. I can see it right in front of me. They need to throw it.
It seemed like he had a window to use it. Valkyrie did get popped just to buy Howard a little bit more time before this ult begin to become invested. Cozy gets a kill through that window, sending Bananarima packing. And that's going to buy Howard some time. They can really stage a lot of decent engagements, especially with dropping in a Reaper from a high ground, setting up Baptiste up there. I mean, second point, Hollywood is a defender's paradise.
It absolutely is, and we talked so much about that original snowball that Northern Alabama had the opportunity to use there, but instead we saw firsthand that usually the team who ults first has the better chance of winning. Speaking of ulting first, Nile in some trouble here, looking to get out, forced to use Wraith, and he does. Ironcrad gets the high ground there as the Ash, but once again, UNA trying to find this flank here. The early Bob comes out, and it's right in the face of HCC.
I love that Bob. Locked him up in a grab right next to him, too. Oh, it's just menacing kills coming through. North Alabama laying down the hurt, getting the cart to move again.
And this is where they can really take advantage of this snowball. I want to see potentially Ash stay on point here, maybe even McCree, or excuse me, not McCree, I'm sorry, Ana, and instead move those 2 tanks up to that close choke right there where you see Squib and just hold that angle, right? Don't let this team see the light of day. Keep them in that theater room. 4.3, but instead HCC able to make it out of the left side if you're facing attack here, and then we're going to be able to see if I'm hoping Cozy can take some high ground here and really help out, but the Valk comes out early as the brawl starts.
Brawl underway, put away the China, the Reinhardts are at it again, and it seems like Desired Sloth is looking to make a play with the Shatter. Unfortunately, Nados gets blocked not just by a shield, but also by a bubble, and Desired Sloth does not disappoint. Lands the slam on the 3, Grab Dragons come through, should be a 1 fight for Howard. But the comp very split up for North Alabama, playing very safe, very smart, being very hard to kill.
Is Tiger looking for a back cap here potentially? Well, no, they see him. He's made himself known, so I'm confused on what he's doing now. He's got to get out. He gets the projected barrier, wall rides back to safety. I was hoping he would look for some sort of back cap there, but instead, Cozy looks for Bananarama and finds him and can see him extra good with that recon arrow.
Bananarama twice now on this Streets phase has gone back to spawn early. We've got a flank McCree going on. Thimble taking an interesting route around the county jail, maybe going for a flank high noon. Not quite sure what his plan is, but he's got to be very careful that Howard does not find out about his devious acts.
He's got the high noon ready, but I think the most important thing is unless Squib is high charge, he's the main person for shield break here for the side of Desired Sloth. He's the one who needs to decimate that shield so he can get that high noon off. But I guess that's the beauty of being behind the whole team, as once again crouching in that corner, Splinter Cell fashion, just waiting for the absolutely perfect moment. The Bob gets thrown out behind them, and Squib starts moving payload.
I love it. He moves in with a stun, fan the hammer onto Cozy to confirm that kill. Bob in the back line. Everyone else up on high ground. Howard Community College just scratching their heads right now. There's no safe spot to stand. I mean, everything on this streets phase just became so dangerous for Howard, and that is the second point taken. But Desired Sloth gets a consolation prize on the Concrete on his way out.
The definition of a zoning high noon right there, Yo Grip, keeps them pinned down in the saloon, unable to come contest point, as the rest of University of Northern Alabama just decides that they'll cap, don't even have to worry about killing them, as the grab comes out just for celebratory purposes from the side of Squib. And once again, HCC find themselves at spawn, coming back after a lost fight. They've got some ultimates here. I want to see them use them early.
They've got to set the tempo in these fights. Cozy does it with a Storm Arrow, no ultimate needed. And now Desired Sloth moves in again, looking to make a play with the slam. He's found a couple of big shatters so far. I got no doubt in my mind he can do it again. Zarya bubbles are already out, and I think now is his chance to see if he's ever going to have one. Now's the time. Niall takes the play into his own hands, though. Just following up on that Dragon Strike split off, excuse me. A lot of S's in that sentence. Thimble gets on his way out. Unicorn, take it away.
No, you're good. Desired Sloth comes in. He's still got the Shatter ready. Niall did find one with that Death Blossom, and it was Tiger. That's the main source of getting that brawl into position. They choose to back down. Squib, already 95 on this Graviton. He's got it. He's probably looking to throw it again. Gets Nano, just gets the rest of the charge here. Graviton ready once again. Niall forced to Wraith out. They're going to back and cower, waiting for Desired Sloth on this Reinhardt. Throws the window out. You've got the LED Samsung 4K 78 million inch TV in front of you here. The Wraith form comes out. Bob finds two. Oh my goodness. Yoke, walk me through it.
Bob just lowered his shoulder and trucked through that grab with 3 people in it. I mean, that was just so much AoE damage steamrolling through. They're going to get this with over a minute. No problem at all. They've got their win conditions set.
The Valk comes out from Derpy, though. He is able to contest for a last-second purpose there, but the high noon comes out from Thimble before the tanks can get back. Yoke, 107 on the clock. Not, it's not groundbreaking. We're not setting records. But can we talk about Squib on this Zarya here? I mean, I think if he's throwing them on cooldown, obviously for the correct purposes, I think that might have been 4 grabs there on attack. If he could have used them basically on cooldown, I think he could have farmed 4 grabs easily.
Yeah, and he's getting a lot of help from Bananarama too. I mean, it seems like every single nano boost is getting slapped onto him. That not only makes it so he can just do more damage and confirm more kills, but that gives him a 30% ultimate charge increase whenever he's doing damage, and that could be a major factor with how he's able to get these grabs so quick. But he's done it on 2 maps in a row now. He's the player to watch in this one for me so far.
It definitely seems like it, and it seems like Squib is so, from what we've seen so far, proficient in how he's positioning this beam. He's correctly beaming down the shield of Desired Sloth when necessary on that Reinhardt v Reinhardt brawl. But as soon as those Reinhardts start brawling, the project is going on to NATO, and then he's immediately looking for those backline picks, right? Immediately looking for those squishies to force out resources on someone other than that Reinhardt, especially when it's so necessary in that brawl. I love the way he's playing this Zarya, and I'm hoping to be just as impressed as we see him defending on this Diva now.
Howard Community College going over to a dive comp, not something we see a lot in the Emergence division.
But look who Niall's on.
These guys love Doomfist. Both
They do.
They love Doomfist. They love Genji. They like going fast, Unicorn. And I like the strategy adjustment they've gone with.
I do. We get a quick pause here. It looks like we're having some tech issues from Thimble as that player tries to get their setup back and working correctly. What I want to talk about is we are in the Emergence division and we are seeing some full-on dive, and I am excited for it. Yoke, Niall on the Doomfist, Cozy on the Genji, Desired, Infra both on the Winston Diva. They've got Paulito to keep him up and Derpy to run with him. I'm hoping it works out. I want to see this dive continue into Streets phase because, as we talked about, it doesn't matter if you're attack or defense. Once Streets phase rolls around, if you can get control of that high ground, Streets phase should come and go extremely quickly as long as you can keep that positional advantage.
You're absolutely right. I think this comp is an investment in that second point once they unlock it. And I think Concrete is going to have an awfully difficult time realizing that he's going to put a Maywall down and everyone is just going to jump over it. They're not going to care.
Absolutely. They're either going to climb it, wall ride it, jump over it, or nade past it. They've got answers for it, even if it comes down to DMing a potential blizzard. They've got definitely a lot of answers for this May here. She really thrives in a brawl type situation where you can get that multi freeze going, really take advantage of a Reinhardt who's out of position. No Reinhardt to be found for the side of HCC here, so we'll have to see how Ironcrad makes this work.
Underway again, the tanks claiming the high ground, de-suiting Squib on the D.Va. I liked him better on Zarya, if I must say so. After that first glance on D.Va, Nile rocket punches Tiger into the dumpster, but both DPS go down for Howard. Desired Sloth does close in on the backline to take down Bananarama, but it seems like the attackers have let this one slip through their hands. They've got to collect these spawns. They've got the advantage if they can get back, but it doesn't seem like that's the case.
And as of right now, they just need to get out. I mean, as you can see, just not going their way. And it seems like it was just minor micro issues. They transitioned onto Squib so perfectly, then went and took out, not Thimble, who was it? One of the other players. I think it was Bananarama who ended up dying early there on the defensive side. Bananarama falls, and then they start working on these really brawl-style tanks, and they just can't stay in this Reinhardt space for too long. They've got to make it clean, get in and out accordingly, and get to the back line. Once again, you see them staging high ground here. I want to see them attempt to take advantage of that, but Squib knocks them all off. All of those cooldowns used to get high ground in vain there as they immediately get knocked down.
Nile punches NATO right up against the wall, but he's not quite able to confirm the kill and also goes down. Now the Dragon Blade comes out. It's Cozy in the back line, chopping him up. But unfortunately, goes down to the Icicle. Conrad finds two, lands the headshot onto the baby D.Va for a very satisfying one hit.
It was absolutely well played there from the side of UNA. You see Cozy pop the Dragon Blade, Ironcrad pops the Blizzard in response, and then the entirety of UNA just decides to live inside of the Blizzard. They say, you know what, Genji? Perfect. Come to me. I'm exactly where you don't want to be. Come inside of this Blizzard. And with that absolutely pop-off play there from Ironcrad with the big brain Blizzard, not able to find any value on that Genji, and you see him switch to a McCree now.
Nano Monkey rolling in deep. Concrad goes down. D.Va Bomb thrown right to the heart of the point, but everyone stays safe. They're only down two. D.Va Bomb and High Noon both zoning Howard into some safe areas. They're able to hide for a little bit. Thimble does collect a High Noon kill on the Derpy. Desired Sloth does go down as well to that McCree, but Infradust cleans up NATO. Still, though, anyone's game. 3 versus 3. Polito and Cozy take down the D.Va. They've gained a tick. Can they get 2 more?
Can they get up to the McCree is the question. Infradust, she decides to give up on it. All of those characters who could have gone up there and answered them, none of them decide to. Paulito relied upon to hit a clutch sleep, and it is what ends up winning it out for the side of HCC there. They move into Streets phase with 345, and this is what we mentioned, right? Was this comp entirely reliant on getting to Streets phase and taking advantage of this high ground? You see Squib now on the Roadhog, another new character for that player. I'm excited to see what he does with it. I'm hoping to see similar play to this Zarya, because he's proven to be nutty on that.
It can shut down a Doomfist. It can deny a Roadhog or a Winston. Sorry. Nile goes in deep right there. They've got stuns for that play lined up, and that was fairly easy cleanup on the side of North Alabama. They're going to hold this first corner on second point rather easily, but plenty of time left on the clock for Howard to figure out their strategy.
Maybe some miscommunication there for the side of HCC. You're absolutely right. Nile went in, maybe expecting his tanks to go with him, but found nothing but a flashbang. Speaking of finding things, Desired Sloth trying to find some disruption here with the Primal Rage, but instead ends up finding the pin from NATO. Ends up missing, though. Desired Sloth still primaling this brawling Reinhardt just away from the payload and the rest of the team as he's finally cleaned up, and you see UNA running for their lives at this point.
Alito did put the nano boost onto Nile and the nano boosted Reaper. No ultimate required to just start lacing down members of North Alabama from even far away. Like we talked about, that buffs damage, like the range with a nano boost. Reaper is so threatening. He's almost like a McCree for 20 meters.
It seems like it. And there we go. Squib does find the hook onto Cozy there. Tiger, as we know him, absolutely terrifying on this Lucio, cleans it up just to follow up on the hook, but Desired Sloth finds NATO, but here comes the whole hog from Squib.
Squib just trying to keep his team safe here on this right side by the elevator, which is a good play. Keeping that elevator locked down is kind of big brain from Squib. It denies the high ground just by denying the elevator on the low ground. Also takes away the flank. It's kind of a two birds with one stone type play. Now the Bob gets thrown up by Conrad right onto the heart of the point. It'll stall it, if nothing more. But this Diva Bomb lands in a dangerous spot that's going to find a double kill. Cozy with a third with that high noon. Halo nearing the finish line on this street space. Can they lock it up?
Thimble in trouble, needs to get out, finds his way back into the theater room. Squib still at his respective spot, takes the high ground himself, but Niall's coming right up to him. Squib decides to come down and contest. NATO joining him there. Both tanks with their large health pools unable to hold, waiting for their supports and Ironclad to come back. And instead, we move into point 3 here with about 3 minutes on the clock for the side of HCC. I believe that was somewhat similar to what UNA was working with here. After they got stopped, about a time and a half. So hopefully they can push in here, get it at the very least a similar time bank, as Hollywood's seeming pretty close at this point, Yelp.
It is, I mean, as close as Li Jiang so far, and I would like to say that no ultimates have been wasted, so we've clearly got a close bout on our hands. Shattered, trying to be lined up by Desired Slot, but Tiger puts a stop to his play with that stun from Brig. Thimble on the backside, finds that high noon, tries to land the stun fan on the Derpy, but he's put to bed by the Lucio player for Howard Community College. Another high noon get popped. This one, not quite as lucky, but Conrad's there with the follow-up.
Just as we saw previously with the originating attack, UNA is able to clean it up and hold here, just as HCC was. They do get that baby diva kill, so important for the way of staggers here. You see Paulito ready with this nano, Desired Sloth ready for the shatter. We know that's enough by itself to clean up a team fight. However, the shield's got to be ready to protect the team against Squib's self-destruct here, as we move into these weird angles that gets a little bit difficult to get away from a bomb on.
It does. Diva Bombs can find a lot of value here, especially if you can couple it with an Earth Shatter. Shatter comes through just like they drew it up, and that's both tanks removed on the side of Howard Community College. The defense looking very strong here for North Alabama. Tiger trying to chase down a kill onto Cozy on this left side. Cozy, though, making a final stand on this McCree by the spaceship, just dropping in a couple of tactical bags right there before getting absolutely obliterated by Thimble's Peacekeeper.
And without those tanks, it's easy pickings for the rest of University of Northern Alabama to clean up HCC there. They're going to move into what is probably their second to last fight on attack. HCC needs to clean it up. They've still got this shatter. I want to see a ton of shield pressure from him here.
I want to do the same thing. I want to see Diva Bomb over the top, Shatter to just get those kills confirmed. The double dynamite finds them. Oh,
but he blocks both.
Lucky. NATO just very wisely backing up so he's able to block both with his shield, not being, you know, the silly player that turns around just to face defeat from that shatter behind him.
And as we mentioned, HCC, Howard Community College in last fight territory. All they've got is a beat drop, hoping to sustain him long enough to get Cozy's high noon. He'll find it here right at the end. However, he's basically going to have to do it in the face of a Diva and a Reinhardt shield.
Thimble's got the high noon, the only ultimate on the side of North Alabama, at least until NATO gets that shatter charged up. Now he's got it, he can make a play, but Cozy pops the high noon, which will zone North Alabama back. Finds two. They aren't able to get to safety in time. I'll make it 3. I wasn't quite aware he desuited Squib out of that Diva mech. Seems
Thimble's
like
got the top right corner though. Thimble could make this huge.
He's not going for the high noon, doesn't have time, knows he's the only contest, rolls on to the point, but it's not quite the play he was hoping to make. But still though, they got it down to overtime if this point does get capped, so North Alabama still has that win condition.
They absolutely do. Playing for a draw here is Howard Community College, as they are able to find third point Hollywood with overtime on the clock. As we move forward here, what do you think UNA does for attack to just hammer this in the first minute? Do they go a dive themselves? Do they continue relying on this brawl that, at least at this point, has seemed to work fairly well, whether it be against a respective dive from HCC or the same brawl taken right to them?
I think the first time around on Brawl, they had no problem getting this first point. I think it's on Howard to answer the Brawl that they're definitely going to run at them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more here. As we move into it, you're gonna see Squib NATO on those brawl heroes like we talked about. They've got the Diva to help the Reinhardt. Ironcrad has been pretty proficient on this Ashe, a pretty big menace to the side of HCC. However, instead goes with the May, which proved to be just as much of a problem for the side of Howard Community
Oh
College.
man.
But how does it work on attack, especially against the Bastion from Nile?
That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a Bastion nice and cozy behind two shields. Speaking of cozy, still a mystery what he's going to play for us, and it seems like the May. So if you can really wall off a tank who's in Bastion line of sight behind two shields, this could be a very big headache for North Alabama in the next minute 7 seconds.
It definitely can. I want to see him just push hard left side here, try and find their way into Cafe as safely as they can, and then brawl up to them. It looks like they are going to opt for that decision. However, it's this last little portion here, moving into Cafe. If they don't move perfectly behind that Rhine shield, it's not going to work out for them.
You're absolutely right. They could just poke here for some ult charge. I love that Maywall coming
I
in
do
to
as
just
well.
break that line of sight. Diva, Squid wasting no time jumping up there. DMs the Bastion. That damage can't come through. Nile's gone down. The anti-nade lands onto Desired Sloth, and that should be it. Two picks should be all they need to steamroll the rest of this. The brawl is just too strong, and it seems like Unicorn, we're tied up here.
Tied up 1-1 as University of Northern Alabama take Hollywood. I love the big brain play there. I think that was 6 people communicating together. I don't think that was Ironcrad popping off with a clutch wall. I think they read the comp and they immediately called it, but I've got to see this Bob.
Gotta see
Oh,
it.
it's not the Bob we thought it was. Okay, it's the grab. That's still fair, still fair. Some good shots there.
I mean, it is just literally shooting down at fish in a barrel.
Fish in a barrel, yep.
You seriously could not say it any better. Total sports cliche, but that is exactly what we saw from the Ashe right there.
It definitely is, and going back there from the side of Ironcrad and friends on UNA, I think it was all of them just working together. Decided to throw the Maywall up, immediately speed boost. At that point, you see Squib on the Diva go up there and immediately start DMing that Bastion as to not break the wall as quickly. And then it's only a tick, right, Yelk? So they've got to touch immediately. And when you've got Narissa who has to touch against a Reinhardt Diva, you're gonna get brawled down pretty quickly as you move into that hammer. And we're going to move into map 3 here, tied up 1-1.
Yeah, going into Rialto again, I think we're going to see some brawl maps. I mean,
Yeah.
some brawl comps rather. Emergence Division, that is the popular comp. It was rare that we saw dive, and I'm glad we got to see it work on the side of Howard, but this Rialto map is not set up quite the same way. Talk about how these chokes just favor brawl a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you move into these corners, you get two things similar, or excuse me, two things at the same time with Rialto. You get long lines of sight through these streets phases, but then you get these tight knit corners that teams have to move past, and that's where Brawl really thrives. You break the line of sight from those hit scans like a Widow, something like an Echo for projectile. You crowd behind that corner of the line of sight, then as soon as payload pushes, if you're on that defensive side, you just brawl straight onto payload. That's why this is one of the few maps similar to King's Row, similar to Havana in a lot of senses, that can still favor Brawl in a lot of ways because of the way the map is structured. And I think both teams will recognize that, especially with Brawl being their comfort picks. I think we'll continue to see it here.
I think you're right. It's what we saw in the last matchup as well. What I'm most interested to see is our player to watch, Squib, what he's going to pick. I would imagine it's Zarya, but there is some wiggle room to play other tanks on this match, and it really does kind of depend on how he wants to counter the DPS of Howard. I believe that's how he's decided on what tank he's going to play so far. And it seems like Reisaku coming in for Nile. Now going to the bench. Cozy seems like he's been the standout DPS on this Howard team so far, at least. He's carried a lot of the team's weight on Reaper, especially on Li Zhang, where they were able to take that map
Yep.
back. But Reisaku, I haven't seen much of this player. I've got to be honest, Unicorn. They could surprise us.
Absolutely, and maybe as we mentioned, maybe it's the answer to Squib, that player to watch. And what worries me for Squib, if we're not seeing that Zarya, how confident are we in that off tank play? I think we've seen good positioning on Roadhog, a questionable whole hog, but ended up working out, and the fight was won for the side of UNA specifically there. However, if Squib isn't on that Zarya, how much can we rely on that off tank carry as pretty much that third DPS here? Iron Ironcrad has been able to absolutely pop up. Is it Concrad? Have I just been saying
Oh,
Ironcrad the whole time?
yes. Yes, you have been. It is
Oh,
Concrad. But you just got
well,
contacts today, so I just figured he probably thinks it's an I and an R. I'm gonna let it slide because we don't have many breaks in this thing.
huh.
But I was,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Concrad.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh.
It's all right.
Why don't you talk for a while?
Honestly, I was really liking how you were saying Ironcrad. I was like, that name actually makes some more sense. Concrad, not quite sure what that is, but
Maybe we just pay for a name change at this. Like maybe we've established that Ironcrad is the better choice, and we just contact Concrad for a name change, right? Like we can supply it. You'll go half with me on it, right?
yeah, let's just get their Venmo real quick. We'll be lickety
Yeah.
split. We'll have their name changed before map 3.
Yeah, speaking of Venmo, I'm probably fired after this, messing that name up so often. But
The 2 maps.
Rialto is the map to go to. I'm not sure if we take a quick intermission here. You want to take 2 minutes? I mean, we run the show around here. We run production. We can just tell production what to do. You want to go to a 2 minute break?
I don't know. Production. Yeah, we'll go to a 2-minute break. That seems like it's more fitting than us just stalling here
Yeah, we'll take a quick
the
2 minute intermission.
Rialto architecture. We'll be back in a few.
Pronunciation on names, probably better. Yeah, pretty better. Probably better accompanied by music. Let's take a quick break.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head. What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
All right, we're going to Rialto to decide it all. It's tied up at 1 apiece between Howard Community College and University of North Alabama. Rialto, the deciding ground. Unicorn, we've talked a little bit about it before the break, and now that we're back, let's talk about it some more. Cozy's been the player for Howard. It seems like Squibb has been the player for UNA. But who do you think, between the two of them, if you had to pick one, who has been more valuable in this match so far?
Man, it's difficult. I love the play from Cozy. Concrete has been popping off on the Ash, and I think at least specifically for Rialto, not to pick a favorite player overall, but for Rialto, I think Concrete on this hit scan has better popping off. If you can utilize the high ground, coach gun, stay up there as a McCree, whatever you decide to pick as that hit scan, if you can utilize that high ground, I think you can take yourself and North Alabama to a series here.
You're going with Concrete, a different look than I was expecting, but I like it. You're definitely right. This is a map that has the sight lines, has the high grounds for a hit scan to lock it down. And we saw on the last streamed match that there was a full hold on this point. It is tough to
Oh,
get through.
snap. Okay.
If it stops before the first point finish line and there's just this gigantic open courtyard, it is so tough to close the distance on a defense.
It absolutely is, and then you get in the way of these huge staggers. Tiger and Squib jumping off the map once again for entertainment purposes. Squib goes to the diva there though instead. But as you mentioned, in this open courtyard, when it's only 3 or 4 meters away from pushing to first point there, such long spawns to get back for the attacking side. Defense gains spawn advantage at that point, and then you just have to barrel through these long lines of sight where someone like Concrete can pop off, like we mentioned, on that hit scan. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're listening to this back, my boy Cozy, we go way back. Love him to death. However, for Rialto, I've got to give it to Concrete with the hit scan we've seen so far.
On that, voice crack. I'm 12 years old again.
Hey,
on that
fair.
free pick,
Fair.
locking it down. He's got the stun. Plenty of tools in this kit to counter this dive comp. And again, I love seeing full dive run in emergence. This is fantastic. The engagement is so hard up on this high ground, already closed in on Squib. But Squib has very good position here, just backing around the corner, not threatening the dive too much. Cozy does get that uppercut kill, but it seems like North Alabama is spread out enough where they can trade this back.
North Alabama finds themselves positioning well with this brawl. They find themselves back into it. A questionable punch there onto Bananarama. Doomfist potentially not a balanced hero, some would argue, but Thimble finds the pick anyway. Cozy taken down, it's all tied up here. They're down to support, and you see Emperor Dusk wants to find his, or excuse me, Desired Sloth wants to find his way in on that Winston.
And I love it. The hack came through right there, and it seemed like that hack that Thimble landed was what sparked the engagement for Desired Sloth. It was an engagement that provided some peel. That Diva Bomb comes through, can't quite confirm, and he kills the beat drop now. Let loose by Durfee. Dragon Blade with a little bit of extra health, unable to cut him up. The beat drop counters. The high noon trying to counter as well from Concrad. Diva defensive matrix keeping him safe for a while, but can't keep him safe from the sword. Raisaku eventually lands some finishing shurikens into him. Cozy is awfully tired, puts a bet on the point, and that will be the fight one for the defenders. And we have talked about this. This is where it is so dangerous for the cart to stop. Textbook.
It is literally the exact situation we've talked about. We've got double hit scan on the side of North Alabama here from Thimble and Concrad, and 2 meters left for the side of HCC here. I mean, they are in trouble as they move into these hit scans and into this brawl on this dive comp that has to close a lot of ground before they can even touch payload.
Yeah, Howard's got a marathon of map to get through, but it seems like they've got the ultimates to get the job done. The engagement started off by Desired Sloth, jumping in with a bubble. Cozy slams down on NATO, confirming that kill. Squib lets the Diva Bomb loose right onto the point. Meteor Strike drops it on Bananarama, and it's a 5 versus 4 fight as Raisaku goes down to Thimble, who quickly falls to Durfee as Desired Sloth goes down as well. This Diva Bomb's gonna find the mark. Team making Squib and locking up the first point here for Howard.
Our community college ends up taking that by, I don't know if you noticed, but just a bunch of different 1v1s, a series of 1v1s going on throughout the map. Derpy ends up fragging out. Cozy slams onto Bananarama after finding NATO there. I mean, huge from each person on Howard Community College, able to win their respective 1v1s and take advantage of what Dive wants to do all the time, is just thrive in that chaos and that constant disruption that it brings to a brawl-style comp. Speaking of disruption, Desired Sloth gets hooked in, can't find his way out.
Oh, that's a big Dragon Strike, though. That could actually find what it's looking for.
Ooh.
But it's Konkrad taking down the supports and Reisaku on the Hanzo on the staircase with that high noon. Wonderful play there by the damage dealer on the side of North Alabama.
And this is exactly what we talked about. Konkrad is able to take advantage of that high ground, and then Thimble stays with him. So as soon as Cozy comes in to slam onto that McCree, Thimble is able to be there ready with a hack, and then they just get flashbang, stunned, and Cozy's done for at that point. I'm not sure how much longer this Doomfist works here on this Streets phase.
Looks like we're gonna need a pause here before this next fight gets going. I think some technical difficulties are going on the side of North Alabama. But
Definitely seems like it.
With the fight happening, NECC rules, you can't quite pause mid-fight. Seems like we've got a little lull in the action right now, but still the brawl comp's looking to square off.
Yeah, looks like they want to back up here, try and get this pause, but instead here comes the EMP followed up by the Shatter. They are able to frag out. Desired Sloth hacked and just trying to swing forward to no avail, as it looks like North Alabama is able to hold their fight, goes in their favor, and they're just cleaning up staggers at this point.
Yeah, the team that was asking for the pause comes through with a head of steam to lock that down. There's 2 minutes
I didn't want to
left
say
on the
it, but
clock.
yeah. They asked for
Wow.
a pause, just the oldest trick in the book, if you ask me. You
Unicorn.
ask for the pause, then you throw the EMP.
They won that fight out of straight spite and nothing more.
We get the pause though, and I want to talk about where we're at on Streets phase. The payload rounding this corner, as we see so often. North Alabama is able to hold here, and this is one of those situations like we discussed. Konkrad can choose to hold close with that flashbang and assume that he gets the better of Cozy, whether it be on that Doomfist if he decides to go back, or the McCree that he's currently on, or he can hold farther back. Thimble's able to get these hacks onto the Reinhardt, really opens the door for Konkrad to pop off without that shield in front of him. So how does Howard Community College end up moving past this corner with so many answers from the side of North Alabama?
It's going to be really tough. They do have a Grav Dragon combo that they can build up and use. That should lock them up the point just fine. But if you're looking to get it without using that combo, I think you have to push through top. You got to go up the staircase and clear them out, and then claim that staircase on the back side of the building where the payload currently is, because that's probably the strongest spot to defend on this entire map. We did talk about first point and that marathon of map they have to get through if the cart stops at the very end, but that staircase is a high ground and a mid flank that the defense usually is the only team that has access to. So if the attackers come in, clean that out, they set them up very well to win the fight.
And if they are able to push high ground, like you mentioned, I think the most pivotal character, or excuse me, pivotal hero in that fight is going to be Derpy on that Lucio, really making sure that he can get that brawl from Desired Sloth and for Dusk. Those two players can get in onto the back line of the side of University of North Alabama there. So hopefully they'll be able to pull that off. Derpy able to stay alive and speed boost his team in, but it looks like we're good to go as we exit this pause. Once again, coming right off of a fight that North Alabama was able to take in control there, as they are on defense, and they're going to have to continue holding. Paulito jumps off the map just to stop that stagger, and we'll see him move forward onto bridge here slowly but surely. They've got a lot of space to take before they can even think about taking that payload control.
Yeah, and this payload again, can't stress enough how tough of a spot this is, because if you push the defenders back, they get to fall back and go immediately up a staircase to a safe high ground.
Yep.
They get to take the angle on you when they're playing safe. Roadhog hooks in Desired Sloth, gets him into the backline. That's a very uncomfortable spot for a Reinhardt to be unless he's prepared for it. That time, Desired Sloth was not. Squib lands another hook headshot kill onto Derpy, but Tiger goes down to Cozy. And that is one member removed so far for North Alabama. The attackers trying to make a stand here on this corner, but a hack onto Infradusk is going to push him back.
And it feels like at this point, Yelk, we may be the best players in the game because it feels like we both called it, right? Concrad popping off on the McCree. You see Squib popping off on the whole hog that he's throwing out right now, but slept by Paulito early, and he's going to take a nap with the rest of his team, giving him the tactical crouch there as they're going to back down on this defensive position and really wait for them to round the corner.
Yeah, Paulito put Squib to bed right there, and Concrad was pretty quick to give him a lap dance. Pretty funny to look at. 45 seconds left on the clock. You like to see the defending team having some laps in on the game. But I do love this control. They're doing the textbook thing, controlling the high grounds, falling back to the stairs. Hack engages with the boops. Tiger finds two, but one of them gets stolen by Thimble, as I think the Hack does take credit over the Lucio boop if it comes in second there, but very strange way to get a boop kill.
Definitely. I mean, you can't be upset, right? I mean, Infradusk, she couldn't use her fly that Zarya has. I mean, you know that ability. Her fly, if you get hacked, you can't use the Zarya fly. So obviously that's a Sombra boop. Nice and justified. The Dragon Strike comes out and does find Concrad, their pop-off player who they were relying on, not able to be there for the fight. And Tiger gets his beat drop canceled by a flashbang.
And just a relentless shatter, holding up the attacking pressure. All they've got left on this point is Thimble peskily playing around on the high ground on Sombra. He's got the EMP, and they are going to get back here and touch this point, and they're going to do it with a boom.
They are going to make it back in time. The high noon's out, and it's inside of NATO's face. The EMP comes out, but it's not in time. Cozy does find Tiger. It looks like this is going in favor of HCC, but instead Concrad finds two. Paulito and Reisaku both down for the side of HCC. They're still brawling out, though. Cozy absolutely popping off. The pause was earlier. Instead, Wrecking Ball's here to contest. You see Squib on there. NATO's here as well, but the pin comes through. I'm not as good at this as you are. Why don't you talk about it?
The defenders have got this one down pat if they can get NATO back in this fight. Just stalling for maybe 5-10 seconds longer, but that is the second point locked up. They step off, and I mean, just like that, Howard Community College, they're not done. They continue to push forward here on Rialto.
Bananarama had the heals there, but as you mentioned, as soon as NATO got pinned out of the line of sight of Bananarama's Ana, it was done for. The attacking team had it, and HCC move into point 3 here with about 1:05, and I'd say maybe 2 fights if they get lucky on the clock.
Squib slamming into the back line, just charging up a little bit more of that Wrecking Ball mind, and it seems like the Genji Concrad
my goodness,
fearless, chopping him up. He's naded. He doesn't seem to care. He wants the 4K, but Squib is going to be the one who finishes off Durkee. But coming out of spawn, Concrad with something to prove.
I mean, he's been on the hero for 30 seconds, and we're 95 on a Dragon Blade here. So I mean, Concrad proven that it's not just the hit scan you got to watch out for from this player, but Bananarama needs to watch out for those absolute trees that are those Hanzo arrows, as it does find Bananarama's forehead. Squib rolling through, and here comes the fight.
Will he deflect the grab? No, he will not. The High Noon is going to combo with this. No problem at all. Desired Slop gets to the damage first, though, and swings through 3. Infradusk able to take down NATO as well to keep the cart moving here for Howard. Overtime, though, is underway, and Howard only has half their team on the cart. I'm not sure if it'll be enough to finish the map, Unicorn.
Someone needs to take some pokes so that Bananarama can get the rest of this nano for the nano blade that has to come out in order to defend here. They decide to go in without it.
I like it. The butter blade, as I like to call it. Concrad dices up 2, make it 3, taking down Paulito before he's sent to spawn. The beat drop too little, too late. Howard Community College, they won't be able to hang on to this point. Overtime bleeds down, and it seems like Unicorn, the Payload will park right here on 3rd.
NATO gets to keep his shatter just to throw it out in celebration. The butter knife did it. The butter blade, the butter knife. What's the theory behind this? Where did
butter blade, not quite as sharp as the nano blade, Unicorn. You know that.
Fair. They decide to go in without it, and Concrad, I'm telling you, man. I mean, like I said, Cozy's my boy, but Concrad, forced to be reckoned with so far for North Alabama. I mean, definitely, I would say they're star players so far. NATO's had some fantastic shatters. Squib has been the player to watch on this off tank, but when it comes to Rialto, for who's been cleaning it up for him, it's been High Noons and Blades taking up the kill feed by themselves.
I'd have to agree. Concrad does really hold ahead in the MVP candidate race, at least on this final map. I was not expecting the Genji pick to get nearly as much value. He came out with 2 Butter Blades, I'm pretty sure, that got double kills toward the end of points. And on that third point, found 3. He did actually get the Nano Boost slapped on, and it kept him alive for a little while longer. So some good little link-ups between him and Bananarama going on. And we're going to see it again. Genji out of spawn to start.
Yeah, but at this point is a confidence pick, right? Like I mean, I think they decided that they didn't really have an answer for it. It's a low damage composition, but if you can find that chip damage, that whether it be NATO's Fire Strike, Squib just looking through, maybe Thimble finding someone in the back line, you can clean that up with a dash, get the reset. You're just slicing and dicing everyone on the team at that point.
You can also just, on Genji, look for those crucial cooldowns to come out. Like if you see Cozy use a stun that he shouldn't, that he should have saved for Conkrad, Conkrad knows he can just get in there and mix it up. Right now, he's just posturing on high ground, eyeing up these squishy targets like a kid in a candy store, just deciding which one he wants to jump on. But it seems like NATO is just going to brawl up on this corner with Desired Sloth, trying to get that Shatter charged up as quickly as he can, already at 54%. The hack comes in onto Inferdusk. Roadhog in an awfully tricky spot here. No hook, no heat. And almost taken down by the deflux from Conkrad. And NATO already working with an Earthshaft. He's at 82%. Unicorn, they're not going to be ready for it.
It definitely not. Desired Sloth's going to fall here from the hack. Here comes the ultimates, like you mentioned, an early Valkyrie as well, just trying to sustain this defense. But instead, it looks like he's able to res Desired Sloth. That's a huge res. I don't know how he got away from it. Now Desired Sloth's just going to be able to pop off.
I don't know why that shatter never came through from NATO. The Reinhardt was dead. Desired Sloth was nowhere to be seen. There's no shield in the way. Just lay down the slam, man.
You teed it up for me, too. I was like, I'm about to be a play-by-play king. He tossed up the shatter, the alley-oop. I was ready to call it out and scream about it, but instead it goes the opposite direction. Derpy gets an illegal resurrect on the Desired Sloth. Desired Sloth finds a Fire Strike and then cleans up the rest of the team from the damage that they had taken previously. Now, you see a ton of ultimates from both sides here. Inferdust, she's about ready on a whole hog, and here it all comes now.
Diva Bomb right over the top by the tree, but it's going to be Conkrad cutting it up with the Nano Blade. Finds another triple kill. Squib finishes off Inferdust. The beat drop from Tiger, just making sure nobody gets sent back to spawn.
Oh my goodness. Call Walmart, ask about the prices for wholesale. Conkrad is a nutcase. I'm telling you, he's absolutely popping off on this Genji. Put him on the shelf in the peanut aisle. He's popping off. He's absolutely nutty.
Confirming kills every side of the map he's on. Shatter comes through from
there.
NATO.
It is.
They've already locked up the first point. Didn't quite need that ultimate, but it should get them through the bridge here. Cozy confidently popping this High Noon. Waits out Squib's defensive matrix. You only get that for 4 seconds. High Noon lasts for 6. Pretty unlucky. NATO gets hooked in, and it seems like they're just winning on clock here. They're still on the payload. There's 4 minutes left in the game, but this defense, they've got a lot of work cut out for them, Unicorn.
Tiger tells Inferdust to take a drink. She does so accordingly. The hacks are here, and what I want to talk about is Ray Saku. They brought this player in, and now he's matching the Sombra extremely well on these hacks. The anti comes through. Desired Sloth forced to back up and get shielded up there, but Derpy has the Valkyrie moving forward, and somehow, I didn't think it was possible, Yelk, but we're seeing a defense right here at the front of the bridge on Rialto. One of the first times I've seen it work for anything longer than 10 seconds or so. Oh, but the EMP bomb finds 4.
That is the thunder right there.
Anyway,
We
were getting yelled at by production. Production was wrong. Huge EMP bomb from Thimble and Squib there. Absolutely locks it down for North Alabama. That's one way to move the payload, I guess. I mean, if you want to clean up a whole team, that's one way to do it. Not back here for a while, but how does HCC push past this in this snowball of a Streets phase at this point?
Concrad's letting another blade loose. Squib does go down to a Fire Strike. Conkrad taken out by the damage boosted McCree. And now Cozy's really feeling himself here. High Noon's Tiger down before stepping up on the high ground, seeing if he can rain some more lead in on the Thimble. He does. It's that kill with the melee with the final blow. Now his team has to back off, though. They're all very anti.
Very purple indeed. Forced to back off there from finding any more staggered picks. Concrad's still feeling himself on this Genji, though. Still feels confident in it, and I don't blame him. Maybe just a fluke on that previous blade there. However, a lot of resources utilized just to get it out. fell quickly there, and Cozy was able to take advantage of it. And once again, yo, we find ourselves in the same position, same exact point here for defense, but this side, but this time HCC defending.
And they just had some great peel up on that high ground on the staircase to bail out Cozy in a duel with Concrad. And that's just fantastic D.Va play you're seeing there from Infradust. Making herself known on this D.Va, letting them know that the peel is there. These kills on the squishies aren't going to always be so free for Concrad closing in on the distance. The purple does come through onto the front line of Howard Community College, sorry, but it doesn't seem to make any difference as they're able to continue holding on. And this is right where they want to be set up. This is a winnable game. The match is at stake. This is map 3 in a best of 3, and the win condition is not the 3rd point. They don't have to push it as far as they need to.
They absolutely don't, and I just want to compliment some quick microplay. Infradusk absolutely pops off there. She goes into the brawl to help Desired Sloth, and instead of prioritizing damage, she defense matrixes NATO so that Bananarama can't get the shots onto him to sustain that Reinhardt. Big brain play there from the D.Va player, but here's the EMP High Noon.
Oh my god, another bomb comes loose too. Tiger not able to stay safe. Raisaki does go down. Thimble falls as well. 91% to their EMP. Very unfortunate loss. Raisaki rezzed back into the action as Bananarama goes down to that fire strike, and Howard continues to look very strong on this second point of Rialto.
Howard definitely looking strong as the fight still goes on inside this close quarters room. That baby D.Va from Squib gonna fall immediately there, and they're backtracking now. However, let's talk about Howard Community College and all of the ultimates they just used. All they've got at this point and anywhere close is Paulito's Coalescence, and there are, count them, 6 ultimates for the side of North Alabama here. They've got 1 fight to make it work and 6 Qs to throw at the enemy team. You've got to assume they get this wrapped up here.
I think Howard still pulls it off. There's members of North Alabama that are split right now, and if they go down early, even with 6 ultimates, this one could be over. Paulito can make a play with this Coalescence, and Cozy can definitely follow up with a High Noon. Squib is going to make his way to point now. Hacked, however, so he can't quite launch that D.Va bomb like he would like to. Now Nano takes full possession of the point. Beat drop to boot. So much HP for Squib. There's a ton of damage being done onto him, but it's making absolutely no difference on those overshields. Still, though, they've only used those support ultimates. Overtime ticking down. They've got a lot left in their ultimate economy. Desired Sloth drops to Squib. High Noon, unfortunately, canceled out for Cozy as he goes down to a headshot from Concrad. Here comes the D.Va bomb. Will there be an EMP this time? No, there won't, but it's still going to be enough to find 2.
Derpy and Infradusk both fall to it. At that point, North Alabama was able to find those picks, and I was swearing that you were right by the end of it. I loved the way that HCC was playing a little bit slower. They wanted to keep poking to build up those ultimates. However, they get picked in the process, and North Alabama able to take it there. Point 3, about halfway to move it. We're coming down to the same exact situation. Maybe 2 fights if they can get lucky and they can play them perfectly. I want to see them get a dry fight here, get the ultimates out of HCC, then throw absolutely everything at them for the last fight. But instead, they're proactive with the EMP.
I love it. Ult first, trying to win the fight, claim the tempo as their own. Concrad High Noon's down Desired Sloth before peacekeepering away in for Dust. Cozy trying to trade out, finds the High Noon kill on a Bananarama after taking down Concrad, but I think this one is all said and done. Paulito, the last member of Howard standing, their last stint of hope. That EMP not quite near the point, and the University of North Alabama wins this one 2-1.
UNA takes your series, and as we talked about earlier, as we called at the very beginning, it was in fact a barn burner. 1-1 Rialto, as close as you can get, I'd have to say, right there, taking it overtime. And here's the play of the game from Thimble. Cancels the Dragons and cancels the High Noon as he finds the flank and gets behind, ends up taking out Derpy just for kicks and giggles there, and is able to wraith out. Good play there from Thimble, as once again, North Alabama take it here. And Yoke, I want to get some interviews going. We became biased after the first map, and we got our wishes. I think we can ask some questions about the shattered coalescence that feels like forever ago.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. How could I forget? NATO or Bananarama? Get one of them in
Both.
here.
We don't care. One or the other, or both.
I got
We're
some
fine with either.
words to say to them.
Absolutely.
Specifically NATO if we get them, because I want to know where his head was at. Like, one of those was a fat finger. One of them was a complete meme.
Yeah, one was moral support, one was a total accident, and the coalescence came out first. So you got to assume it was that one. Well, we're gonna find out who we get here in just a couple moments. I'm happy with either. Bananarama would be more fun to say, especially in a professional interview tone. But maybe some
That's
more useful information about the main tank, just brain difference, the constant mind games that is a Reinhardt v Reinhardt duel. I know you'll be excited to ask about those and how it went down in NATO's head. But as we jump in here, um, North Alabama looked good. And honestly, Yoke, it was so back and forth throughout the whole thing, right? At one point you saw HCC just absolutely snowball and roll over North Alabama, and then you saw the same thing on the next fight. It seemed like it was always back and forth. Cozy and then Iron Drake, both popping off respectively, from one fight
I
to the other.
agree.
Ironborn and Cozy just absolutely showed off throughout the entire series, and I'm proud of both of them, honestly. But North Alabama barely squeezed by.
It was a good showing from North Alabama, and we've seen that a lot in the NECC recently, where the team that loses control, they don't lose their heads, and they come back and they win the next two maps. And I like
Yeah.
these best of three series because a reverse sweep in a best of five is very tough, but a reverse sweep in a best of three, it's like a bang bang play. You hit them with it before they even know what's coming.
And you get that confidence rolling, you take it right into the next map. And that's why, we're always encouraging viewers, whether it's, your specific college, whether you're a parent, a friend of a player, stick around for the rest of these games. I'm telling you, you find really, really good games here at the NECC. A lot of these teams very closely matched, whether it be two hit scans going at it, whether it be NATO and Desired Sloth on these constant Rhine, mind games that they're going at it with each other. Some really, really, really good tournament play here from both teams. And I think we see that echoed throughout the entire tournament and the entire organization from all these different colleges.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, you saw that team, University of North Alabama. They're a 2-1 team now in the league. Howard Community College, who were right there in the entire game, proved that they could beat this North Alabama team on their best day. They're
Yeah.
0-3 on the season, but they can still hang around in the emergence division. It doesn't seem like they're out of it yet, and there's a lot of life left in the season so far.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think you hang your head if you're HCC after this one. I don't think you kick yourself too much. A very close series. You found yourself in this emergence division at this point, and I think you found a pretty solidified home. I think they have a good chance to continue, taking this and, finally find their dub, whether it be next week, the week after. I think as long as they go down, maybe it's just one or two scrims later, right? Practice those strats just a little bit more. Keep honing in and getting cozy,
Hey,
nice and
can I
comfortable
join?
on his plays, and I think they really have a chance going forward. But I think, as you can hear, we've got a couple people here ready for the interview.
We've got Bananarama and NATO with some
Whoa.
fishbowl microphones. It sounds like what's going on. Congratulations on the win.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I do have a fishbowl as a microphone.
Well,
All
my
right,
headset died mid-game. So on the Hollywood game on that last point when we were defending, my headset died. And I had to go the rest of the round without a headset. So that was fun.
Nice. So NATO, you're communicating with your team, a can and a string from you to Bananarama. How are you coordinating these nanos to keep your Ryan alive? NATO, how are you going through these mind games with Desired Sloth? How did you feel on Reinhardt throughout this entire series?
I felt really I always like to gauge how people are before as the first map goes along, and then after the first map, it's usually kind of a feel of how I want to play Ryan. So if I notice that Ryan's really aggressive, I'll back up with my team and make sure that we're able to get him by either him not having his shield up, we can shatter him, or just out DPSing him because he's too far pushed up.
Okay.
But other than that, we're just kind of do our own thing.
So I want to put you on the spot too, because it sounds like you have a good head for the game. So let's dig deeper into what you just said. After going against Desired Sloth for the first map, maybe the first map and a half, what was your read on that player? Are you a more passive or more aggressive Reinhardt at this point? Is the honor really popping off and sustaining him? Where did you find yourself at from full on super my shield doesn't exist to a more passive Reinhardt play?
I feel like I had to go somewhat passive because I would notice this is a critique on myself. I noticed I would push up a little too far and then realize my team backed up. So I'd have to back up with it, trying to conserve my shield as much as possible. Because that's the thing I've been working on most recently is trying to conserve my shield to make sure it's used for the appropriate times.
Sure.
So that's what I was kind of practicing in this game for the most part, and trying to back up with enough shield health to be able to get around the corner and make sure my team can heal me. But as far as their Rhine, he's a pretty good Rhine. So I had to like, it was a hard gauging him at first, honestly. Because like I didn't know if he wanted to like do that. Because he also switched to, I believe, the Winston for dive.
Yeah, for a while they were dive. First Point, Hollywood. They decided to open up on Rialto with the Winston as well.
Yeah. So I had to like readjust a lot because there was one point in that Hollywood game when we were defending that I didn't even know he switched to the Rhine. Like
Gotcha.
we pushed out the right door and I get antied and I see the Rhine coming out of nowhere and just swing me. I'm like, they got a Rhine now.
That is
cool.
no longer a monkey.
Yes, no longer a monkey. They got a Rhine now. So
And not to slight either of you, but throughout the entire series, it felt super close between the Reinhardts, both hitting fat shatters, both blocking fat shatters, or what would have been fat shatters if not for that block. So I think, both of you definitely took it to each other and showed that the Reinhardt duel was alive and well in those brawl comps. Bananarama, I have one question for you before Yelk asks the most important question of all. On that Ana, were you usually just trying to maintain Concrad on that Genji on that last map, or were you still prioritizing NATO on that tank?
I was definitely prioritizing NATO, no doubt. I mean,
For
there
sure.
was the main comp difference in that last fight was just Nano Blade, as you could tell a bunch of times. But that was the only thing we were really coordinating with, because Lucio was also doing a pretty good job of healing them up, just topping them off. I just needed to make sure that the main tank was alive, definitely, because like you were saying, they were really close. That's why the game was so close, honestly.
Yeah. So in a situation like that with a composition where you guys are low damage, right? You've got a Genji, you've got a Sombra. How did you decide to play Rialto? Was it a more passive style until you can find that chip damage? Concrad goes in there and gets the dashes, or what was, I guess, the general strategy? Was it just to farm Nanoblade as quickly as we can and then win fights with that?
More or less, yeah, it was that, and then the EMP bomb. Definitely, we were definitely trying to just rack up as much as we can, and they were doing only enough damage to his shield and to him, so I could get so much. I could get Nano so fast, so yeah, and he was pretty good at getting Blade, so that was the real. I don't know.
Yeah, he switched out on that defense, and he got like 87% ult charge off one fight.
Yep.
It was nuts. So I honestly think on that defense, if they did not pop 4 ults there, they could have possibly won that. But once they popped those 4 ults, we kind of sat there and knew that we won the round right there because we had, what did we have there? I completely forget what we had there, but we had more ults than them.
6 ultimates. You had literally 6 ultimates.
But we had 6 ultimates, so we pop everything and win the round. And then at the very end of the game, if we did not have EMP there, we probably don't win. Truthfully.
Gotcha. Yeah. Fair.
So.
Fair.
And this game, we were trying out something new with the whole EMP stuff. So when we had a couple different opportunities with the EMP that we decided to use here, because we had the EMP bomb, we had EMP shatter, and we had EMP blade. So we had many different types of win conditions. So like even if the EMP doesn't work, we still have nano blade if we decide to EMP bomb. So we just try to like set ourselves up with as many win conditions as possible.
And it definitely seems like you found that there. That's it for me. Once again, NATO Bananarama, congratulations. A very, very close series. Happy to see you guys pull it out. Yelk, here we go, man. It's important.
I've been waiting for 3 maps to ask these questions. Okay. Bananarama. 1, fantastic name. Good job. 2.
Thank you.
Lijiang Tower Gardens, the bridge map. That coalescence, be honest. Fat finger or not a fat finger? Oh wait, okay. NATO. NATO, you don't get to answer yet. NATO, you don't get to answer yet. This is coming right over to you in a second, okay? But Bananarama, fat finger or no fat finger?
100%. That's why we want to say no.
So that ties into the next question. Okay.
That ties into the next question. Yeah. So
that is
NATO.
Such a funny question because
are you just the best teammate ever? Being like, dude, we do that here.
No,
we do that here. Here's
no. Here's what happened. He fat fingers. I laugh, and then I fat finger, trying to go forward.
No way.
Wait, it wasn't on purpose.
I slipped on the Q button and it popped my ult, and I was like, well, I guess we don't have any ults this fight because we were just like, okay, we got 2 fights.
we had created, like, we made you a hero in our eyes. You were the hero that North Alabama needed but didn't deserve. We told ourselves that Bananarama coalescence, and you decide, no, my friends don't look stupid on stream. I'm shattering right now for the meme.
Right
And
there
we
with
thought
ya.
that that's what it was, but just the double fat finger, honestly, that's what happened.
I think that's a little more legendary. If
Fair,
you think about
fair.
it,
Go with
that's
that,
kind of
Jordan,
legendary.
right?
It's never
When in esports history has someone double fat fingered in the middle of a match?
Yeah, like you see
This
it
may be the
often,
first
you're
time.
like, wow.
World record.
Yeah,
Most
no, that
sure.
was
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. I thought you just had the best mental ever if you were actually just like shattering, so he would just feel better about that coalescence. But to know it was also a fat finger, fantastic.
It was a funny situation because the moment I did it, I was like, oh my god, I just fat fingered.
And I'm not gonna lie, I think it's the reason you guys lost Gardens. I think with those two
That's the
ultimates,
reason
you
you
had,
lost to Li Jiang.
If we have coalescence and we have shatter, I get the Ryan on like while he's mid swing hat shatter, we win the round probably.
I
oh
think
yeah,
you're
easy,
better once
easy.
you
Clean it up with
get off
coalescence, definitely.
Of course.
But not the map, but you get the series. Once again, congratulations.
Yep, appreciate it.
We're happy to have you guys on interview at any time. Keep winning for me, and we'll keep having you.
Hey,
Yelk, anything else for you?
No, that's all. I mean, congratulations again, guys. Great job.
really appreciate
thanks
it.
for,
More than
Absolutely. Good luck in the future, guys.
appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Well, as they exit the interview, I can't believe it was a double fat finger, man.
Oh my
I
God.
almost still don't want to believe it, just so I can keep it up in my head
He
that
was a
NATO
hero
is
to
once
me.
again just the hero that North Alabama needs, because that's just so much more beautiful of a story than fat finger. But if you're looking for double fat fingers, if you're looking for close series, you've come to the right place. You haven't came anywhere. You've come to the right place with the NECC, and we're happy to have you anytime as we jump into a bunch of series going forward. Yelk, it's been a pleasure as always, man. Sign us off.
Oh, it's been absolutely great. I will sign us off. We've got, well, this isn't on Twitch, is it? No, it's not.
No.
We don't have a match coming up in just a few minutes. This is on Sunday. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Have a great night. I'm Yell Crab Hughes Unicorn. It's been a lot of fun.